Welcome back and thanks for staying with the agenda this morning. We asked you a question, what your initial impressions are of President Cyril Ramaphosa's first appearance at the Zondo Commission. We asked you to send your thoughts at the agenda_SABC. Let's take a look at some of those. Joel Wamusotu says, according to his statement, South Africa is likely to have him president. He's an incorruptible leader, but again, we need to ask, what is the legitimate way of making money using ANC ticket? He doesn't tell us how he became billionaire. Of course, those questions will be asked independent. He has not said anything so far, still delivering the State of the Nation address at the Zondo Commission. I have to laugh at that, I'm sorry, this time around. Okay. Tona saying it's a PR moment for him and his party. Lynn says he's talking only about the ANC. We want to know about what he did about corruption. Lynn again, I'm now listening to Ramaphosa talking at the State Capture Commission. Very disappointed. Expected questions and answers, not excuses for corruption. He now says the corrupt must be held liable and provide explanation. Let's now bring in political analyst Ongama Mtimka to just give us his initial impressions. Ongama, thank you so much, as usual, for making the time. Your initial impressions?
Well, it's also one of disappointment. I thought he had too much time to give us a political speech, which we've heard before. But it's good that the president is there, who started, and I think that he's made the key acknowledgements that the party has enabled, has created a permissive environment for people to conduct acts of corruption against the state. And he says that they're distancing themselves from those people. What I had as a question is, how can one distance themselves from something they are directly involved in by way of creating the permissive environment for the kinds of things that they are now against to thrive?
You talk about, just in terms of tone, you talk about the key acknowledgements, and then he comes back and he says the ANC could not and would not direct its leaders to conduct corruptions. Are we getting a sense of a give a little and then push back kind of situation?
Well, no, it's fine. I mean, for me, the importance of this is not what the president had to say really as an opening statement, which would be some political positioning and messaging to try and get sympathy for the ANC as well as themselves as leaders. What I'm more interested in is how he is going to fare when asked questions that are difficult and tough. And I hope that the commission is going to do that and not waste this moment going forward. So is he going to demonstrate that they played a role in enabling or fighting against state capture? What role was that? Yes, indeed, we've seen the opening statement, but and the key acknowledgements there of the role that they've undertaken in fighting and the resolutions made. But those came amidst a growing uncertainty at the level of the public about how untenable the presidency of President Jacob Zuma and his reign in general, including the ANC in government in general. Okay, so he cannot come and speak as though the ANC was proactively, engaging with the regime concerned in ways that were in the public interest or in the interest of the rule of law. So the key focus for me is, how is he going to answer questions around some of the things they take for granted as necessary? He's spoken to cadre deployment, for example. It's going to be interesting whether his views are going to come out and how passionately he believes in it, and in the same way that Gwede Mantashe was able to do. We need to see, where does the president stand on, and also what role did they as a collective played and him as a person played.
You're absolutely correct. We're all waiting with bated breath to see what happens come the answer and question session. But he mentions three things that he says the party has done to ensure that it deals with corruption and perceived state capture. He talks about the decision to have the commission having been taken at the ANC 54 conference. He also talks about an important resolution that was taken there, a step aside, and then he starts to outline the things that have been done by party to ensure implementation. And then he talks about the political party funding bill that he says is also an initiative of the African National Congress to ensure that they correct the wrongs. Are you convinced?
That's fine. That's fine. But what did they do when it mattered most? When Jacob Zuma was refusing to appoint the commission and coming with one reason or another as to why it could not be done. What was their standpoint, and how did they ensure that they engaged him in order to move forward with the resolution? What did they do when it mattered most in ensuring that they safeguard the rule of law? That's what's going to matter for me. That resolution was a response to public pressure. The things that he has cited were responses to public pressure. Were they good? Yes. Do they convey a message of politicians within the ANC that want to fight for the preeminence of the rule of law in general? Absolutely not.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to just hang tight there. We're coming back to you, but let's cross now live to our colleague Natasha Piri, who's outside the commission. Natasha, what are initial impressions on the street regarding the president's appearance at the State Capture Commission?
Well, Desiree, before we actually answer that question, the momentum is actually building up here outside the State Capture Commission. Of course, I'm now standing with members of the SACP. We'll be talking to Joe Mpisi quite shortly, and what he thinks of those opening statements of ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa. Dr. Mpisi, you've heard what the ANC president had to say. I mean, what are your sentiments as the SACP?
We are here to support the commission as the Communist Party. Our message from the Central Committee has been clear that we're saying hands off to the Commission of Inquiry, and we want the Commission to succeed in its work. And we're happy today that the President of the ANC is here leading by example to show that all of us must respect the Commission of Inquiry.
I mean, you heard what he had to say, saying that, the earliest that he heard about state capture was in an NEC meeting around 2011.
Look, there's a new tendency that is showing its ugly face again. The post-Polokwane phenomena is beginning to show itself up now. We know that when this process started, a lot of our leaders are going to be in trouble, and definitely they will try to ridicule the leadership of the chairperson of the commission as well as the investigators. But as the Communist Party, we support the work that has been done thus far, and we'll continue to do that because we know that at the end of the day, the ANC must clean itself, the ANC must separate those that are corrupt from good leaders. So all those that are found to be on the wrong side of the law must face the consequences. And we as the Communist Party, if there's any member of the Communist Party that will be found on the wrong side of the law, we won't hesitate to take action against those and to remove them from their position.
I was talking to various, people in the morning. I also spoke to, the leaders of COPE and other opposition parties. And I think the overriding sentiments that they are saying is that the ANC is somewhat on trial today.
We are not on trial. The ANC, people might say the ANC is accused number one, but we don't think so. The ANC and its alliance are not. Individuals are not being sent by the ANC to do wrong things, to be corrupt, to loot and to steal from the coffers of the state and the entities of the states. So those individuals are not representing the ANC. So it's good that the president is clarifying some of these things, because today the State Capture Commission is actually dealing with that. Equally, we know that we have taken a resolution in the Central Committee that we are going to ask the Commission of Inquiry to also investigate the role of the Guptas in Gauteng, because that has not been heard here. We have seen and heard about other provinces, but there's nothing said about the role that the Guptas did in Gauteng, and we want the Commission to look into that. That is why we know that there might be some rot in the province that I think the Commission must actually deal with.
As we expect more testimony coming from ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa on, his role and throughout those alleged state capture years, what's the role of the SACP as an alliance partner?
The role of the SACP is to say to the President, continue to lead us, continue to do the right work. Don't be afraid to speak your mind. You are the leader elected by the members and the delegates of the ANC in the conference. So the Nasrec resolutions are clear. People might try to alter and try to do funny things about those resolutions, but those resolutions still stand. And we think the President is on the right path to deal with corruption, particularly to make sure that we save the integrity of the African National Congress and the integrity of South Africa as a whole.
Mr. Mbisi, thank you so much for your time. Unfortunately, we have to cross back to studio. Desi, of course, we will give you more updates on what's actually happening outside here at the State Capture Commission of Inquiry. It's back to you in studio.
Thank you so much, Natasha. Ongama, let's welcome you back in again. The SACP reiterating its support for the work of the Commission.
That's a very important message coming from an alliance partner. We know that there's been a lot of mobilization of people so that they oppose what the Commission is doing. And that mobilization has happened at the level of the NEC of the ANC. So it's important that they are allies of or they are allies of the Commission, for lack of a better way to put it. People who are in the political processes and feel that its work needs to continue. And those people should be given a voice as much as those who are opposed are currently getting.
Just in terms of procedure and operations, what were your thoughts about Advocate Paul Pretorius announcing that the amount of work was just so much that they might have to overlap into the next appearance of President Cyril Ramaphosa, where he's supposed to only talk about state matters? And please give us a short answer, because we're supposed to go back to the Commission.
I suspect that will be the case, Desiree. I wouldn't be surprised also if there are questions asked which relate to what is yet going to come for later on during this actual cross-examination. And I think that the President may want to defer some things to that latter appearance.
Yeah. I know we've spoken about tone before, and you said because this was just an opening statement that wasn't important yet, but him saying, I'm not here to make excuses or to defend the indefensible. What do you read from that? Do you get a sense that his words were very carefully chosen?
Whether or not he's not there to make excuses, Desiree, was not going to be something we see from his statement. It's something we're going to see when he responds to questions that are going to be asked. And I hope that the Commission is not going to ask the President sweetheart questions. Will they have a serving national duty there? They need to they need to make sure that they follow through with every answer and check with corresponding affidavits from other testimonies too.
Okay. And of course, we're watching live footage. We're just waiting for the Deputy Chief Justice to walk in, take a seat at his green chair. As soon as that happens, we'll be taking you back live to proceedings at the State Capture Commission. Do you think it was strategic, Ongama, for the President to once again mention the same thing that Party Chair Gwede Mantashe also hung on to at his previous appearance, that one day when Fikile Mbalula mentioned to the top leadership of the party concerns about the overreach and influence of the Gupta family onto the party?
It's an important date. Gwede Mantashe used it to say that triggered the beginning of the political process within the ANC at some stage. So this was in defense of the idea that the ANC had been complicit. So he did say that there was attempts within the ANC to, after that event, and maybe the recalls of Nhlanhlanene, among others, a beginning or intensification of a process to oppose state capture and act against it politically. So it's an important event that he also mentioned.
Ongama Mtimka, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us this morning. Let's take you back live to